When Beyoncé dropped her self-titled album, she seemingly broke the internet, but not everyone was happy with Beyoncé's newfound sexuality expressed on the album. Some people were saying her album should be banned and that she went too far. So let's take a look at the controversy. Now, Partition was definitely one of the songs and visuals that drew the most criticism, and it got a lot of pushback because of how sexual the video was. And the song is really just about her describing her sexual fantasies with her husband, and this is just played out in a video in which we see her in a few different scenarios. It's probably one of her more sexual videos, but not too many people were happy about her letting it all hang out. Some initial reactions to her album included people taking to social media to express their outrage. One person wrote, "Geez, Beyoncé has left me flabbergasted. Like, I've never expected her to be this explicit." Another person said, "The fact that Blue Ivy has parts on Beyoncé's new album might be the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. Way to exploit your baby for money." And a third person added, "Shame on you, Beyoncé." Some folks were even calling the video vile and disgusting.
Beyoncé the slut.
But most of the backlash were from conservatives, so let's start with the Fox News brigade. You have former governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, who basically went on a press run against Beyoncé after he got a lot of backlash after saying that Jay-Z is pimping Beyoncé and that she doesn't need to do explicit content because she has such a huge effect on young women. And of course you had Bill O'Reilly echoing the same thing, but if you're slightly familiar with O'Reilly, his response is no surprise. He even blamed Beyoncé for teen pregnancy.
Beyoncé, 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 Beyoncé. The singer Beyoncé.
He was so mad about Beyoncé that when Russell Simmons went on his show to interview about his book, he went on a completely unrelated rant about Beyoncé's Partition, saying it was garbage and that she's negatively affecting the youth. And many parents agree with this, saying things like, "It's not like parents can protect their children by not buying the album. It's there on the internet for anyone to access, and as a parent, this is incredibly wrong." But a lot of this criticism is hypocritical because some of these folks mad about Beyoncé have nothing to say when many of the popular country artists make music that is just as explicit. But again, the backlash didn't stop there. You had people like Vivian Patterson questioning Beyoncé's feminism and calling her a sellout. In a statement she wrote, "This is such a shame to see Beyoncé didn't get to where she is by jumping on the same bandwagon as Rihanna and people like that who we expect to be explicit and controversial. She was the one we all thought we could count on to set a good example and keep producing music with powerful messages that empower women and girls." And the storm didn't stop there. Many people were upset about her Grammys performance of Drunken Love. Some people took to social media to call the performance trashy and inappropriate for children, and here are a few reactions to this performance. Come on, people. Yeah, Beyoncé has an amazing voice, but that outfit, completely no class. Give children something to look up to. Someone else said, "Beyoncé, seriously? It's 8 o'clock. That performance was not appropriate for children. Thank God mine are in bed." And another person added, "Beyoncé looked like a whore on stage. Just goes to show no respect for little children watching a Grammy show." And even before Beyoncé got criticism for this halftime performance, a few people were even upset about this halftime performance, saying that her outfit was inappropriate and it was too sexual for the family-friendly NFL show. Some even called the performance slutty. But I wonder if the same people mad about the performance also have something to say about the half-naked NFL cheerleaders. Now, many people upset about the X-rated Beyoncé clearly haven't been paying attention to Beyoncé for the past 20 years, because part of her success is tied to her sexual desirability, and she's always been sexually expressive in her music. But I will say that Beyoncé has not only evolved as an artist, but has somewhat of a sexual evolution. When we were first introduced to Beyoncé through Destiny's Child, they held many titles, but were sometimes referred to as the fiery and sexy trio. They were only teenagers at the time, but did appear to be older. And that was by design, according to Tina Knowles, who designed and controlled most of Destiny's Child's imaging. If the public had seen pictures of them before their first video, they would have concentrated only on the music.
Why? How are you doing?
I have nothing to do with it.
Yes, you do. I got that check out.
Let me take it far away. You're sure to find your destiny.
Kick it, man.
Now, their costuming and imaging is an important part of the act. If people had known they were only 15 or 16, they would have been pigeonholed and not taken seriously. Most groups do start out very bubblegum, but then they lose their audience. And so the imaging of the group was deliberate and definitely played into the success of the group. And so that just continued into Beyonce's solo career, where she's sexualized, but the imaging in the music didn't go too far. Like, she has songs that are sexual but not explicit, so it was still appropriate and consumable for the masses. And at this time in her career, she was focused on commercial success and number ones. But fast forward to now, she's at a point where she's not really focused on that, and she can do whatever she wants to do. And that's why we get projects like Lemonade, Black is King, and Self-Titled, where she's being sexually expressive but how she wants to do it. Like, she now has complete control over her imaging. And so with this album, she stepped out the box that people placed her in, and that made a certain group of people uncomfortable and generated backlash. So you had people bringing up the fact that she has children because they subscribe to the traditional notion of mothers not being sexual beings and being more conservative. So they expected Beyonce to tone it down and not crank it up after having children. But she had other plans, and Madden had the perfect response to a lot of this, in which she described being sexually liberated by this album. She said, "There's a double standard when it comes to sexuality that still persists. Men are free and women are not. That is crazy. The old lessons of submissiveness and fragility made us victims. Women are so much more than that. You can be a businesswoman, a mother, an artist, and a feminist, whatever you want to be, and still be a sexual being. It's not mutually exclusive." And she's absolutely correct in pointing out the double standard. Plus, she's also grown, so she can really do whatever she wants to do.
I'm a grown woman. I can do whatever I want.
This album is definitely one of the most authentic albums, because the entire album, she just did what she wanted to do. Beyonce said this is the most personal, honest, and best album that she could do while freeing herself from the pressures and expectations around her, and that's exactly what she's been doing since her father stopped managing her in 2011. Every album after Sasha Fierce, she just completely taking creative control and just made the music she wanted to make. In closing, I do think Beyonce has a massive influence on the collective, which does include children, and should take responsibility for that. However, much of the backlash she received on her sexual expression wasn't really rooted in genuine concern for the youth, but unfair and rooted in many biases, because she is a black woman. Like, there is certainly a conversation to be had about the hypersexualization of the black female body in the entertainment industry. It's not a coincidence that most of the prominent black female artists of today all have similar features and are all sexualized to varying degrees. But being over-sexualized appears to be a requirement for success, especially for black artists. Like, Beyonce has always been sexualized, but they wanted her to be this clean, unproblematic mega pop star, and she was good at staying in this lane for the majority of her career. But after obtaining that legend status, she stopped caring about chart success and did what she wanted to do, which is why people were taken aback not only by the sexual expressions in the music, but Beyonce's blackness. And in a way, she reclaimed this label, but she's evolved as an artist over time, which definitely intertwines with her sexual expression through the music. But those are my thoughts on the situation. What are yours? Do you think the criticism she received was fair?